You know, I have no idea where I'm going from here, but I can promise you it won't be boring.
With the sun without, against the sun within. I am a delta of light. I bring serenity wherever I go. I'm connected to all things divine, and with each passing moment, I tether myself to their sea of unknowing. What love hides, love may reveal. The best way to know the gods in you is to love many things. All the craft is in the catching, unknown.
You shouldn't model your life on what we think is cool and what we wear and what we say and everything. Go with yourself. Always go with yourself. Fiona Apple, MTV Music Awards, 1997.
Good morning. My name is Grace Rabley, and I'm a sixth form boarder from Westchester, New York. As I was pondering about what to write for today's chapel, many thoughts came to my head all at once. So, in order to put my mind at ease, or procrastinate, I decided to watch the movie Good Time to relax. For those of you who aren't familiar with the film, it's an excellent story, directed by the Safdie brothers, and it's truly incredible. The story is in real time and therefore allows the viewer to be fully immersed in the exciting plot, complex angles, and electrifying score. However, after watching the movie and analyzing every little shot and every scene, I decided to write about what I'm most passionate about, which is movies. Film is a big part of who I am, and my talk today is about why and how they became so important to me. As a result, I've decided to write this chapel in the form of a script, so please bear with me. Scene 3, Act 1, Interior. Open on a wood-paneled room lit by the harsh glaze of fluorescent lights. In the center is an oak table, each side occupied with a row of lawyers. I find myself sitting in the middle of it all. Can you confirm that you were admitted to the Pediatric Medical Center at midnight on February 26? They were the same questions over and over again, more rigid each time. I took a deep breath and answered the same way I had answered each question before. I can't remember dates, only pictures. I might remember better if you show me a picture of the room, but otherwise, I don't know. Okay, they said, what symptoms were you experiencing that night? Lawyers just wanted me to think in the concrete way they did, but I didn't see the world that way, and I never have. I attach emotions of excitement, hurt, and joy to pictures and scenes, not dates. That's how I wanted to remember my experience in the hospital, not the rigid date, place, time-oriented way everyone else wanted me to. To me, I remembered the hospital as a sea of scrubs, cascading mountains of cards and flowers, tiers of clunky beeping machines, and the wash of the occasional gleam from a window. Now, let's go back a couple scenes. Scene 1, Act 1, exterior of the hospital. Pan over the outside of a building as a girl is wheeled into it. On a murky morning 3 years ago, I arrived at the hospital with severe pain in my side. They asked me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it? 9, I said, even though it was really a 10. I was wheeled into a room splotted with whites and yellows. Each time I heard the scrape of the curtain being pulled aside, a different doctor came in. Finally, I heard a distant voice say, "It's appendicitis." I was relieved at the diagnosis because, as much pain as I was in, I knew appendicitis was quite common and would be a simple procedure. Right? Wrong. Scene 2, Act 2. Interior of the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. Overhead shot of a swarm of bustling nurses and doctors over a hospital bed, covering the face of a patient. I went into surgery. When my eyes opened, I was in the ICU and I was still intubated. My awakening included convulsions, echoed noises, voices, tubes, needles, blood, but most of all, I remember the room. The eggshell whites leaped off the walls and muffled me. Each pastel blue fought its way into the fluorescent light by reflecting off scrubs, sinks, and little surgical tools. My grandmother, painted in pink and black but flushed in bright blue light, was seated across from me. A nurse who seemed to be oceans away called out my name, her voice bleeding into the faded blue windows. These were some of the many images that stayed with me from my time in the hospital, not the dates or times. My surgery had not gone as planned. I later learned that there had been a critical error in the operating room, and I had gone into cardiac arrest. That my lungs and heart continuing to function was a miracle. It wasn't only me that this unfortunate incident happened to. There was a pharmaceutical error that day, which impacted the surgery of 6 other children. We were all lucky to be alive. I essentially spent the next month and a half in the hospital. And, to state the obvious, I was miserable. Every 4 hours, a nurse had to come in and check my vitals as a hospital bracelet on my wrist got looser and looser as I began to drastically lose weight. I couldn't move. I had to reteach myself how to walk and practice every day like it was something I had never learned before. But the thing that brought me the most joy during this time was the TV in my room. I watched movie after movie after movie, analyzing each scene, examining each script, and enjoying each performance. I learned a lot about myself in that next month. Up until that point, I trained to pursue studies in music, singing, writing, and recording, and I thought that my future would be in composition. But as I sat in my hospital bed and people kept asking me questions about the surgery from my point of view, I realized I could only remember my memories in scenes, in pictures. The only way I could understand what had happened to me was through film, the art form that had gotten me through this time. This is when I started to find my voice in film. My isolation in the hospital allowed me time to explore many movies. Babel taught me about the tragedy and fragility of life. The Godfather made me understand the value of companionship and the people that support you no matter what. Castle in the Sky allowed me to escape from reality into another world when this one seemed too unmanageable. What I ultimately realized during this time is that film is a magical, mystical, insanely beautiful art form that I needed to partake in. My stay in the hospital served as a catalyst for my deeper exploration in film and self-expression. Since then, I've had the opportunity to write, direct, and produce several short films through the summer programs, classes, and on my own. I often reflect upon the fact that if it had not been for this frightening, life-threatening medical experience, I would not have had the chance to discover something so meaningful about myself. In December of this year, I learned that my dreams came true and I had been accepted into a school specializing in film and television. Now, as I look forward to attending college, I'm excited to take that perspective, my perspective, that will allow me to further learn, grow, and inspire. I want you all to know, whatever you're going through, know that you don't have to be afraid of redirection. Life has so much in store for you, and even through hardship, you can find something truly beautiful. Before I go, I know I couldn't end this chapel without thanking my family, but more specifically, my brother and sister, Justine and Owen, for also helping me through this. they get credit too because it wasn't just the movies. Thank you.